Good evening, race fans, and welcome to the Pro-Am Street Stock Series here with Team Goon Squad, sponsored by East Action Sports LLC. My name is Mason Heimbaugh with Team Goon Squad, bringing you the action here in 1080p, 60 frames a second, here for 225 laps here at Nashville Fairgrounds, as drivers are getting prepared and gridded up for the start of their race here today. Let's go through the starting grid. Starting off with Tyler McRae in first in the 99 machine, with Travis Sacoup in the 45. In second place, rounding out your first row, with Steven Rex in the 28. Going to be in third with James Silvers in the 17, and fourth, rounding out your second row, Zach Rogers in the 84. Going to be in fifth with Blake Wynn in the 19, going to be in 6th place, rounding out your third row with Matt Bear in the 8. In 7th place, John Friley in the 06, going to be in 8th place. Tyler Evans in the 77 in 9th. Brandon Varney in the 22 machine, going to be in 10th. Jeff Edgar in the 11. In 11th place, Timothy Johnston, going to be in 12th place. And last but certainly not least, Jacob Feskinen in the 926, going to be rounding out the field in 13th, as drivers make their way out onto track and get themselves started behind the pace car as we patiently await the pace car to make its way down into pit road, and we begin our first few laps here at Nashville Fairgrounds for yet another wonderful and exciting race here for the Pro-Am Street Stock Series. And I'm glad to be back here once again calling another race here. It has been great watching these guys in these street stocks. These are mighty fun cars to drive, and I gotta say, I do enjoy myself some short track oval racing. So to be here for this race today is going to be especially exciting, especially after seeing these guys at the previous race. And here we are, green flag. And look at the start here from Travis Sacoup down on the inside. Tyler McRae in that 99 machine, able to get around, as Tyler McRae now leads the field. Travis Sacoup now falling back into second place in that 45 machine. Not exactly had the best start right off the rip there, but still in second, holding on. But Steve Rex, James Silvers, both just barely trailing behind these guys, and they're getting very, very close quickly as they work their way out of turn 2 there. Lap 2 up 225. It's going to be a long race, folks. These guys are going to be fighting tooth and nail for every spot that they can on the track here. Look at Steven Rex in the 28, taking that third place spot. Everyone else starting to fall. Ooh, a little bit of bobbing and weaving from the 84, Zach Rogers. But as I was saying, a lot of these guys starting to fall. A little single file here. We got double file, door-to-door action between the 94 or the 84 and the 19 here. That's Zach Rogers and Blake Wynn that I'm referencing. You can see Zach on the outside of that 19 of Blake Wynn as they work their way out of turn 2. Still door-to-door almost. Not quite. They separated just a little bit, but here we go. Too wide, too deep. Coming out of turn 4 down the front stretch. Everyone keeping it together nice and smooth. Sounds like we had a little bit of scraping, bumping, and grinding happening back towards the rear of the field there, but everyone's still holding on, keeping it together. We're still racing. Everyone doing a good job here as well. Got to give credit to these guys, pushing it as much as they are right now. Look at the one. I'm not exactly sure who that is there on the outside in that one machine. That's showing a different number for me, but that is a-okay. It seems to be Brandon Varney that is showing me a different number here. Yes, that is Brandon Varney. So he's going to be in that one machine, not the 22 that I initially thought. But anyhow, lap 7 of 225, and our first caution has come out here for our race, and I'm not exactly certain why. Let's see if we can find that out here in a few moments. But meanwhile, as drivers get themselves sorted back out and back out onto the field here, under yellow flag conditions, with the pace car in tow, we have Tyler McRae actually leading this pack, with Travis Coupe, Steven Rex, both falling into second and third on this restart. So we're going to see how these guys handle this next restart and see if Tyler McRae going to be able to hold on to this first place spot. Now Travis Coupe's going to have another opportunity here to possibly try and get on the attack of that 99. Maybe, just maybe, pull off a move here. But with Tyler being in on that inside line, starting on that inside, well, that's going to be a tough one to make. But again, as we are under yellow flag conditions, once we go into this restart again, once green flag drops, anything can happen. There's a multitude of possibilities that we could see come from this. As I believe once the pace car comes across the line, once again, we are going to see the pace car come in next time around if I had to be a betting man. And I am incorrect. Ooh, look at that, folks. But that is a-okay here. So I'm not exactly certain what happened there to throw the caution out. Hopefully we'll get that sorted out for the next restart here. But as we patiently await our drivers to get ready on this next restart here, just looking at how this field has been very patient, it seems. We have some guys going door to door, going wanting to go too wide, and we haven't really seen anyone trying to make any desperate moves, I'll say, because again, this is a long race, 225 laps that we're going to be doing here, and not exactly the kind of race that you want to be aggressive too early on. You could find yourself in a very, very tricky spot, an unpredictable spot at that, and you might just find yourself out of the loop. But green flag is out here once again with Tyler McRae, Steven Rex, and Travis Coupe all starting 1, 2, 3. We were just looking there with Zach Rogers just behind them. But look at that. Tyler McRae able to get back out in front, coming down the back stretch out of turn 2. Steve Rex in that 28 machine falling just behind the 99 of Tyler McRae here. But look at just behind them, door to door, side by side here. The 84, Zach Rogers, Brandon Varney, as they work their way through turns 1 and 2 down the back stretch. Brandon, oh, look at that, bumping and grinding out of the 84. Zach Rogers, he gets a little bit wobbly, unsettled down the back straight, but keeps it back together as he works his way through turns 3 and 4. Now back into 1 and 2 here again. On the bumper of, actually, no, that was Zach Rogers getting on the bumper of the one of Brandon Varney here. He's getting absolutely, well, he's getting fearless here on this restart. He's trying everything he can here to stick with Brandon here. And as we ride on board with Zach Rogers here, you can kind of get an idea of what it's like here on the inside of the 84 machine of Zach Rogers here. Oh, look at that, getting very, very close to the inside of Brandon Varney. Keeps it together out of 1 and 2, down the back straight. They're still side by side. Going into 3 and 4. Brandon Varney able to get out just in front. He's still out in front. Oh, man. That was very close there as well. Zach Rogers doing a great job making sure he does not let himself get into the side or the rear end of the 22. Or, there I go again saying the 22. The 1 of Brandon Varney. A lot of excellent hard racing that we're seeing from all of these drivers here. And at lap 18 of 225 here, it's going to be a long one, so guys really have to get themselves settled in, get comfortable, and make sure that they're ready for this long race. And another thing that you have to bear in mind as well is that there's going to be pit stops that you're going to have to make, and whether or not those are going to be under green flag, well, that's a different story. We'll have to see how the race progresses on. But right now, it looks like it might just be that way, where we're going to see green flag pit stops. And unless we see another caution come out here in the next, ideally, I would say probably 15 to 20 laps, that would put these guys, I would assume, at a pretty good pit window. I would have to imagine. I could be a little off there on my guesstimations, but I am not exactly a street stock driver, so I can't say for certain how many laps they can do here. But with that out of the way, and with the racing that we have in mind, looking at this field right now, everyone's single file. No one's really kind of bumping and grinding, banging doors or anything like that at this point in time. But look at that. Right as I say that, tuning into Brandon Varney in that third place spot in the one machine. Look at that. Zach Rogers still on his tail, trying to find any room around the inside of that one machine. Now, look at that. Scraping from Brandon as he exits turn 2 down the back straight. Keeps it together, though, and that's key here, folks. You know, if you're finding yourself getting up to the wall, washing up to the top of the track and into the wall, it's important that you're able to recover from that and get off the wall, get yourself back on the throttle, get your speed back up, and keep going. Don't let it cascade into a worse situation and grind the wall all the way down the front or the back straight, wherever the case may be. And if you're listening really carefully, you can still hear it just a little bit in the background as drivers work their way around the track. You can still hear some guys getting up into the wall, getting washed out. So even with that in mind, a lot of these guys here are doing an incredible job and keeping everything together here. It's absolutely great to see here. So lap 26 of 25 as Tyler McRae crosses the line, still in the lead. Everyone's still here single file, and I gotta say, this is almost kind of what I would expect here at this point in the race. Everyone's starting to get pretty comfortable. You know, no one's wanting to get too aggressive. They want to save it until the end. They want to save it for when they don't have to worry about pit stops. They don't have to worry about, okay, am I low on fuel? Am I so on and so forth? There's 100 things that run through your head as a driver. But it's important that you keep yourself out in the race for as long as possible. Now, whether that's being conservative on fuel, conservative on your tires, whatever the case may be, you want to take full advantage of everything that you can. Not only to stay out as long as possible, but, oh, look at this. The 28, Steve Rex, on the inside of Tyler McRae, out of 2, down the back straight. He's able to take first place here, but for how long is the question. Now, we've seen this kind of brewing between these two drivers. It's just been slow and steady, you know, kind of just chipping away. And Tyler McRae, he's a smart driver. He's going to be aware that this is a long race. This is only lap 30. We're just under 200 laps to go. There's 195 laps we still have to race here. And Tyler's going to be thinking to himself, well, I'm going to be using a lot more fuel. And this is just me kind of guessing what he's thinking here. But if I was Tyler, I would be thinking to myself, okay, this is a long race. This is only lap 32 as we cross the line here. And I'm out in the lead, and I'm getting pushed hard. And you can see it even behind the 84 and the 1 Zach Rogers, Brandon Varney, they're still duking it out side by side. They're giving it their all. But if you're Tyler McRae, if you're Steven Rex, you're out in front and you're getting pushed like this the whole race, you're going to be pushed using your tires a lot more. You're going to be sliding just a little bit more than everyone else because of all the air that you're getting from behind you, from drivers giving you that little bit of push as they approach your bumper. But you want to be in the position where you can still save fuel. You can stay out a little bit longer. You don't have to use your car as much as the rest of the field around you. You're able to be a little bit more conservative while still staying reasonably fast. So lap 35 of 225 here, and that's pretty much exactly what we're seeing from the front of the field. Now, kind of taking a look back here at Travis Sacoup in the 45 right now, he's actually trailing Matt Bear in an 8 machine right now, coming out of 4 as they work their way down the front stretch here. You can see Travis, he's actually, and we saw Travis at the beginning of the race, had a really good opportunity, but ultimately was kind of put in some awkward spots, awkward positions, and now found himself in 8th place right now from his 2nd place start at the beginning of the race here. But the race isn't over. Still a long time, still plenty of time to recover that and to come back and get himself at least back into the top 3. And look at this. Matt Bear slowly starting to feel the competition behind him as Travis is he's trying to find that room around that 8 machine, but I don't think Matt Bear is exactly too eager on letting Travis on by here, as this is still a race for Matt Bear to be in as well. Matt Bear has not been put down any positions, and that's, he has also not gained any positions. So he's started in 7th, and he's still in 7th on lap 40 of 225. So consistency seems to be prevailing here for Matt Bear, but as he's starting to get pressure from the rear, from the 45 of Travis, who I'm sure is eager to work his way back up to the front of the pack here. And it almost kind of seems like, looking from this perspective, that Travis is kind of making a smart move here. He doesn't want, if the opportunity grants itself, I'm sure he will try to make this pass here. It seems like he's getting set up for it. But on the other hand as well, it also seems like he might be using that 8 car to his advantage, using that draft to give himself a little bit of a push, get a little bit more speed. And here we go, down the inside, around the inside of Matt Bear in that 420 machine. That now that I've been corrected here as well. But Matt Bear going to be looking at being put down in 8th place here, going into turn 1. Oh, man, down the back stretch. There he goes. Travis Sacoup able to work his way out in front of that 420 machine. So now Matt Bear going to be down 1 position from the start of this race here today. Probably a little bit of commentator's curse involved in that one. But anyhow, Steven Rex here in the 28 machine, leading this race here still after taking the lead from Tyler McRae. And I don't want to necessarily say that he took the lead from Tyler. It almost seems like Tyler kind of gave it to him. That could also be an incorrect statement as well. But judging from what I saw, it almost kind of seemed like Tyler went a little bit high intentionally to let the 28 by, to ultimately avoid having to battle with everyone around him for an extended period of time. But also, given that it seems like these 2 drivers here are teammates as well, both with the dropping bombs paint schemes on their cars as well. So a little bit of teamwork involved here as well. And, that's part of racing. That's all. That's where teamwork comes in. And now, granted, you can't both come across the line and win the race together, but you can still get a podium lockout and prevent anyone else from taking a top 2, top 3, whatever the case may be for your team. So Steve Rex, Tyler McRae, both doing incredible work here. Lap 48 of 225 here today for the Pro-Am Street Stock Series. I gotta say, this has been some steady racing. A lot of very calm, steady racing, and I expected that. This is what we probably should see, to be fair. With a race of this length, of this size, I guess you could say, you don't want to see a whole lot of, aggressive driving this early on in the race. It leads to cautions. It leads to just overall a bad race, not only for the viewers, but for the drivers as well. It makes it for a very long and grueling race, more so than it needs to be if there are a plentiful amount of cautions anyway. But anyway, looking at here, the top 3 very, very, very close to one another here. And Zach Rogers is possibly looking at trying to maybe make a pass on someone here, but he doesn't have just Tyler McRae to work around. He's got to get that 28 as well, and I'm not exactly sure how he's going to do that with both of these two drivers in front of him working together in unison to, well, ultimately keep that 84 machine behind Tyler McRae. As I was trying to get a better view of that angle there, but can't win them all here, folks. But looking here with Zach Rogers with our drone camera that is here today, you can kind of get a better idea or a little different idea of what it's like for the line work here for these guys up front and kind of how far they drift up into the track on the exits of turns 2 and 4. And you can actually see just how close the 84 of Zach Rogers is getting to the rear end of Tyler McRae, but being very cautious as well, knowing that he still has to work his way around that 28, because if he was to even try to make a pass right now on Tyler McRae, there's not enough distance between the 99 and the 28 to kind of put himself between and take advantage of that draft, or at least take it away from these two drivers here right now. If these two guys stay within draft range, which actually looks like now they're starting to get away from one another just little by little, but oh, look at this, look at this. Zach Rogers down on the inside of the 99. Tyler McRae, looks like Tyler washed up just a little bit into turn 1. Maybe possibly a little. Ooh, look at this. Getting into the bumper of the 84 of Zach Rogers. These two bumping and grinding coming out of, well, not necessarily out of turn 4, but definitely going into 3. It looked like Tyler McRae was going to get into the rear end of that 84 of Zach Rogers. But, and again, folks, just like I mentioned before, Zach was very patient in that move there. He was waiting for that gap to open up between these two drivers to give himself that opportunity to squeeze in between them, because again, if Zach Rogers and Steve Rex were still kind of bumper to bumper in that draft like they had been for a number of laps, if Steve Rex were, or excuse me, if Zach Rogers were to try and make that pass while they were still that close, they would have just blown right past him, and that would have put him even further back. So smart play there from Zach Rogers in the 84, doing very, very patient driving. So great things from the 84 here as he worked his way into second place now and is looking to possibly take that first place spot from Steve Rex. Now kind of just looking at the rest of our field here, Blake Wynn in the 19 in 7th place right now. And everyone here very spaced out. A lot of the guys that are not kind of in packs. Well, really there's no one in packs. If you're looking at the track map on the bottom right side of your screen, you can see kind of just what I mean. No one's really too close to one another. Look at that, Blake Wynn. Almost seems like he got into the wall going into one there. But keeping it together, though, you know, so everyone kind of getting spaced out. You can see the difference in pace for all of our drivers here. And Steve Rex seems to be absolutely setting off an example here of that pace. Clicking off low 20 seconds, 20.29 to be exact. And actually, Zach Rogers clicked off a faster lap as his best time around, but right now, currently, we're seeing times of around 20.7. As tire wear starts to come into play. And speaking of things coming into play here, I expect drivers to start getting ready for our pit cycles here as well. That I expect to happen very shortly, if not soon. Lap 67 of 225. Still plenty of racing to do. Still a lot of things that have to happen before we see the end of the race here today. But everyone doing a great job. A lot of patient maneuvers that we have seen here. And frankly, it's just great to see. And I'm going to be excited to see what drivers are going to do here on their pit cycles and how that affects the field, how it's going to shuffle things, where that's going to kind of place drivers kind of going forward here. And speaking of pit cycles here, Brandon Varney in that one machine going to be coming down into pit road now as well. Going to be missing his stall just by a little bit, having to back it up and going up and going to get those tire changed here as well. So that the one machine going to be starting off, assuming the first of the pit cycles here. Lap 71 of 225. With how much difference in time that we're seeing since the beginning of the race and compared to now, I'd have to imagine that tire wear is starting to become quite the factor here for a lot of drivers. And frankly, most drivers will probably go all the way until they are almost out of fuel before they decide to come down into pit road. And that's usually a safe bet. But there might be some other drivers that have different ideas, different plans, and it might work out for them. It just depends on their execution and how they put it into play. So Steve Rex here, still our race leader, with Zach Rogers just trailing behind in that second place spot, but he is knocking on the rear wing, or I say wing, it's kind of more of a, I don't even have a proper word to describe it for myself here, but Matt Bear in the one machine also going to come down here into pit road, start off his pit cycles here as well. James Silver's also going to be doing the same exact thing here as he works his way now down into pit road to start that off for the 17. Now I got to imagine here as we start to see more and more drivers coming down into pit road, how's that going to affect things for our guys up front? Steve Rex, who has been leading for quite some time, starting to get whoa, someone. John Friley. Looks like he was trying to come down into pit road. He was. And, yeah, got all the way sideways into the track. Luckily, it did not look like he collected anyone else, and we're still green. So everyone's still racing, still out on track, it would seem like. No, actually, the caution did come out. So it does look like all of our field now is going to come down into pit road as well and take full advantage of the caution. Get tires, get fuel, all that fun stuff, and avoid having to do that while under green flag, where that can get a little bit more stressful. But either way, still got to get back out onto track in a timely fashion here. And with that in mind, folks, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we will be right back here with the action for the Pro-Am Street Stock Series, sponsored by East Action Sports.
Driver Carrington gets dumped by Benami. The leaders are winding up here. Daytona, the Kingwood is out.
Welcome back, race fans. We are here patiently waiting for our field to get sorted back out. Drivers making their way down into pit road, still getting things sorted back out here, and making their pit stops as necessary, serving any additional penalties as well for if they came down pit road a little too hot or whatever the case might happen to be. As Steve Rex here is going to be looking to be first on this restart here, if my timing is correct. Looks like drivers getting wave arounds in the field, getting themselves sorted back out here behind the pace car officially. And there we go. Looks like Tyler McRae is actually going to be at the front on this restart here. Lap 83 of 225. And the lights are going to go off on the pace car. So this is going to be our last time around with the pace car in tow. So here we go with Tyler McRae starting out in front. Travis Coupe going to be in second here, but he's out in front. Not exactly sure what's happening here, but we're going to go green here in just a second. And there it goes. The green flag flies. Travis Akoof starts out in front of the 99 of Tyler McRae. A little bit of a strange start there, but look at that. There's a little bit of bobbing and weaving happening here in the back of the field. Jeff Edgar looks like he had a little bit of a moment possibly. But as we keep our eyes peeled around the track here, we got these guys going side by side out towards the front. But look at these guys back here. Blake Wynn, Tyler Evans, both of these drivers going door to door, working their way through turn 3 and 4, spread out just a little bit, giving each other just a little bit more room to work with. As Blake Wynn in the 19 takes that third place spot, coming down the back straight into 3, just out in front of them. Looks like we even have possibly lap traffic here. I'm not exactly sure what we have going on. It does seem like we have lap traffic. Matt Bear in 6th place right now is going to be behind our leader at this point in time. So a lot of our guys are very, very spread out right now, but very close to one another in relation to distance. But with lap traffic kind of being involved here and spread out amongst this field, that's going to give the Tyler McRae in the 99 a very, very good chance here to get away from this field, give himself more of a gap, and hopefully be able to take away this lead. So we are on lap 90 of 225 as Tyler McRae crosses the line. So looking here with Matt Bear and Zach Rogers right now. Zach's still putting pressure to every single driver that he can. And looking down on the inside, well, behind rather, the 420 of Matt Bear. Oh, whoa. Oh no, Brandon Varney in the 1. Absolutely washes up the track, grinds the wall for quite some time. And look at the side of that one machine as he tries to come down pit road, slaps the wall coming down the entry of pit road, and he's going to take it back behind the wall, it would look like, and that might possibly be the end of the one's race tonight of Brandon Varney. Hate to see that happen, but look behind them. Zach Rogers and Matt Bear both collide as they were coming out of turn 2. Or excuse me, that was turn 4. But Zach Rogers back on the attack here again of the 420 of Matt Bear as they come down the front straight, working their way into turn 1. Matt doing very good work here, staying as low as he can, but gets a little bit sideways down the back straight. Zach Rogers, a little bit more speed in that 84 machine. Isn't going to work coming out at 4. Coming out the front stretch here. Matt's still out in front. Zach is on the bumper going into 1. Holding on to that spot. Zach Rogers pushing that 420 as much as he can. He's trying to find the opportunity. We've seen the patience out of that 84 of Zach Rogers, and what a view here that we're getting as these two drivers duke it out between one another. Let's ride on board with Zach Rogers just to get a better idea of what it's like here inside the 84 machine. Here we go, going into turn 1. In the inside of the 420, Matt Bear going down the back stretch. They collide! Oh my, oh my. Lap 98 of 225. Matt Bear, Zach Rogers wrecking into one another. Coming down the back straight. You could see Zach Rogers still parked there up on the top of the track. So driver's going to take advantage here once again, come down pit road and get damage repaired if they need it, or whatever whatever other amenities they might possibly need here. All right, as the lights go off on the pace car, sorry about that moment of silence, folks. As we get ready to go green flag here one more time, you can see the field getting stacked up here. Getting ready to go for the pace car to come down into pit road here once again. Lap 103 of 225, and the green flag will fly here once again with Blake Wynn in third place currently right now. Tyler McRae in that first place spot coming down the back straight. These guys all single file here, and with a good chunk of our drivers having found themselves out of the race. Looks like actually only 3 drivers have found themselves out of the race here, so not as many as I initially thought, but with now the opportunity for a lot of patient driving, patient racing, this gives Tyler McRae the opportunity to take away this lead here. Ooh, look at this. Blake Wynn on the inside. Travis Sacoup goes wide in out of turn 2. Down the back straight, Blake Wynn able to get out in front of Travis. Going into turn 3, though, Travis is still putting the pressure back on that 19. And look at just behind them as well. You can see Tyler Evans, as well as Travis Sacoup, as These guys all start to bunch up here. Look at all these guys. As they work their way out of 4, come down the back straight. A little bit of side-by-side action here. Going into turn 3. You can see the 17, James Silver's getting very low there. That's going to give him the opportunity to get around the 04, or the 84, excuse me, of Zach Rogers, who's actually going to be down a lap here. So trying to find himself some room here to not put himself down any further than he already is. So looking right now, Blake Wynn in second place with the 77 and Tyler Evans in third right now on the chase. These two drivers right here both doing everything they can. Look at the helmet camera of Tyler Evans as he works his way down on the inside of the 19 of Blake Wynn as they work their way down the back straight here. Did not want to see a repeat of the same incident we saw before just a few moments ago, as they're still door to door coming out of 4 down the back straight. Tyler Evans able to work his way into that second place spot. James Silver's, Blake Wynn now both going to be door to door here as they come down the back straight. Got to keep it calm and steady here. Look at these two drivers here, very close to one another. They could almost reach out to and touch each other here. As Zach Rogers now also in the mix here, trying to do everything in his power to stay involved in this race, keep in the mix. Oh man, look at that. Tyler Evans, you could see getting sideways there for a moment. That's going to cost him some time, and looks like even a place, as James Silver's able to work his way around that 77, giving him that second place spot. So all of these drivers here right now still absolutely doing an incredible job here. As we see Blake Wynn. Oh, look at this. Out of 4, or excuse me, out of 2. Almost loses it, but keeps it together. Keeps that car straight down track. The 19 of Blake Wynn almost had a moment there, but looking confident here once again as he recovers it. All of these drivers here settled out single file. Lap 120 of 225 that we have seen here in some great racing thus far. Tyler McRae works his way out of turn 3 and 4 in the lead to come across the line, and that'll bring us lap 121. So as we are on lap 121 here of the race out of 225 here at Nashville Fairgrounds, with Tyler McRae still in our lead here with just about actually starting to get himself closer and closer to that 2-second mark on his gap between second place James Silvers. So great work between these drivers back here, all staying very close to one another. You can see Travis Saku in the 45 getting into the rear end of the 19 of Blake Wynn there. It seemed like for just a moment Blake Wynn going to stick it out in front of the 45 as they work their way into turn 3 and out of 4 down the front straight here once more. A lot of patient driving here between these drivers as they all continue to push on as we get closer and closer to the only a couple laps away until the final 100 laps here at Nashville. And I got to say, this has been quite the entertaining race. All of these drivers here have stayed quite close to one another as far as competition. We've seen a couple shakeups here and there, and as well as a lot of drivers fighting these cars here. You can see the bobbing and weaving happening. We get another great shot here. Excuse me, of drivers working their way out of turn 4. But back to the action here. Travis Saku right now in the 45. Just trailing behind Blake Wynn right now. Just trying to slowly find his an opportunity here to possibly get around the inside of that 19. As we ride on board of the 45 of Travis here on lap 126 of 225. Trailing behind Blake Wynn here momentarily as we go down the front straight here. Now, this is... Oh, look at this. Getting very close. Coming out of 2. Blake Wynn looks like he's not going to be able to hold on to it, though, just barely. As we work our way into 3 and out of 4, that's going to pass off the 4th place position to Travis Saku and put Blake Wynn down into that 5th place spot. But you can see Blake Wynn not exactly giving up yet. All hope is not lost for the 19 machine here, as he quickly gets back onto the tail of that 45 machine as they work their way into turn 1 here again. Now, I was going to mention this just a moment ago, but this is where consistency is going to be absolutely vital here towards the final half of this race here. There's still quite a bit of racing left to do. And frankly, it looks to me like these 3 drivers here, Tyler Evans, Travis Saku, and Blake Wynn, all 3 of these guys here are all going to stay in this kind of 3-piece here until one of them makes a mistake. And as Travis Saku, Tyler Evans, it almost seemed like they were going to go side by side there for just a moment, but able to get themselves collected, sorted back out here. And speaking of drivers starting to get a little bit of competition from the field behind them, Tyler McRae starting to see a little bit of pressure from James Silvers in that 17 machine as James comes up high out of turn 2 into the wall, keeps it together as they work their way now down into 3 and out of 4 to the front stretch. Lap 134 of 225 here at Nashville. And I got to say again, folks, this has been a very steady race for all of these drivers here. Not being too aggressive at the start of the race, letting themselves kind of get comfortable in a position and slowly work their way through the field if it's necessary. Now, we've seen a couple cautions come out throughout this race that have ultimately kind of shaked up the field, switched things up here a little bit here and there. So, with that in mind, you know, with a race as long as this one is, 225 laps, there's always going to be a little bit of uncertainty. There's always going to be something that happens down on track that you can't exactly always predict. And right here, James Silver's down on the inside of Tyler McRae, working their way through turns 3 and 4. Out on the front stretch, James Silvers takes the lead here at Nashville for the Pro-Am Street Stock Series. And James Silvers in the 17 is going to be our leader now. Tyler McRae is going to have to find a spot around that 17 here once again. And as we are getting closer to that end point here in the race, now there's still a lot of laps to click off here before we get to that point. You know, Tyler McRae, he's going to be put in this position where he is, if he can't fight out of this spot now and get himself back up in front, he's going to end up finding himself with not too many laps left to work with, and ultimately will possibly find himself taking home that second place spot after having such a great lead here. So riding on board with Tyler McRae in the 99 here as we speak. You can see just kind of steady going here, just very, very patient, not trying to get too close to that 17 machine. Oh, very, I want to say, well, I was going to say patient again, and I guess that's the word I'm going to use. Just extremely patient. The 99, Tyler McRae, doing great work here, but looking a little bit further back here, Travis Sacoup in that 45 machine. He's starting to put a little bit of pressure on our third place driver of Tyler Evans in that 77 machine here as we work our way into turn 3, coming out of the back stretch here. So you can see Tyler Evans just holding it out in front of that 45. Don't really have to do a whole lot other than just take away the line that the driver behind you probably wants to take. In this case, it's going to be that low line, and here we go. Looks like Tyler goes a little bit too wide there possibly on that entry into 1. That's going to give Travis a little bit more opportunity here to get into the bumper of that 77. Get a little bit more draft going, a little bit more speed, set himself back up for the next pass at the next turn. Here we go, Travis Sacoup. He might have the speed. Nope. Tyler Evans taking away the line from him once again. Great defense from the 77. Into 1 and out of 2 here. Once again, Tyler Evans doing the same thing here. Just keeping himself out in front, staying consistent, taking away that line from the 45, and not allowing him to make that pass. As we look at James Silvers here, still in our lead. Tyler McRae in the 99, having fallen back now almost a second and a half from the 17 here of James Silvers, who is strongly taking away this lead here quite impressively, might I add. So Tyler Evans here, you can kind of see starting to actually now get away from the 45 of Travis Sacoup here as he gets to about a half a second from that 45, working their way into turn 3 and out of 4 here. Just very consistent work here that the 77 is doing. We saw him make a couple mistakes, well, at least it looked like mistakes. Go ahead, get a little bit wide on the entry. Some of these, especially on turn 1, it looks like a couple times here or there. But it doesn't seem to be affecting the pace of Tyler Evans all that much. And for Travis Sacoup, it definitely looks like he's still he's chipping away at that gap. He's actually a little bit faster in some spots. But it looks like Tyler is just barely able to hang on to this third place spot, and maybe he might be able to take home third place for today's race. So James Silver's our race leader, Tyler McRae in second place, and Tyler Evans in third. Folks, this has been a long one, and I'm sure that these drivers have been feeling the effects of that. As Blake Wynn, you can see in pit road, actually making his way into pit road now. Quite possibly to get some damage repaired on that 19 machine and get itself back out onto the track here and ready for the next go around here at Nashville Fairgrounds. So a couple drivers here having found themselves out of the race due to the bumping and grinding that we've seen happen kind of throughout the race here. And again, that's to be expected. Short track, it's street stocks, you know, so these kind of things are, again, to be expected. These are what we predict to see here week in and week out. These cars are definitely not by any means the easiest to handle, and they're not even necessarily the fastest by any stretch of the imagination, but they definitely can be a handful for almost any driver. So we look here, Zach Rogers actually starting to get into the rear side of John Friley. Here as they work their way down the back stretch here. Look at that, going almost touching door to door there for just a moment. Zach Rogers down on the inside. He's able to take that sixth place spot from John Friley. John's not going to let that get away from him too quickly here. Going into turn one, is he going to be able to recoup that loss? Back on the bumper of the 84, John Friley in that 06 machine back on the charge here. Going to try and retake that spot that was just taken from him. So Zach Rogers trying to do everything he possibly can to get away from John at this point in time. And also to catch up to the 007 of Jeff Edgar, who is just about 2.5 seconds in front of the 84 machine and seemingly is matching the pace as well of Zach Rogers here, but only by just a small, very, very small percentage, less than 1%. So with that in mind, you know, a lot of these guys here, they're kind of starting to, again, very spread out from one another. Similar pace for a lot of these drivers here. So the ultimate, you know, thing that you can do, again, is consistency. You have to rely on your ability to click off laps, stay fast, and not allow yourself to get lapped or to get passed in these situations. And as a lot of drivers here are also starting their pit cycles here, once again, Jeff Edgar, Steve Rex, both going to be coming down here into pit road as well. So again, there is going to be some final pit stops here before the end of the race for drivers to get a final splash of fuel to finish out the end of today's race. As Blake Wynn on the inside of John Friley takes away that sixth place spot right from the 06 of John as they worked their way out of turn 3 and 4 there. And now coming down the backstretch, Blake Wynn going to be taking away that sixth place spot. And on the chase of Zach Rogers in the 84 machine. But lap traffic is definitely involved here. There's drivers kind of all over the place. No one's, I don't think at this point, really, unless they have their relative open on their black box, that they'll be able to tell who exactly is where around them on the track. And I'm sure most of these drivers usually do have that open anyhow. Also, if you are not familiar with what I just said, the relative in your black box, what that is, if you do not have iRacing or are not part of the iRacing community but would like to know more about it, this is a little piece of information that is displayed on the, well, I guess you can change it, so it essentially it displays I think it's the top 10 around you relative to where you are. So it's a good, useful tool to be able to tell if the driver in front of you is someone that you need to be competing with, or if it's just a lap driver that you ultimately should be a little bit cautious of. As Tyler McRae, actually, the 99, coming down here into pit road here as well. So a couple drivers here making their way into pit road. And look at that, Tyler McRae. Very interesting pit stall that Tyler McRae has there. Right into the entryway. I'm not exactly sure. Going into the infield, essentially, but interesting. Very interesting. So, a couple drivers here coming down here pit road, and actually the ones that we did mention, Steve Rex actually down here into pit road for a lot longer than I anticipated him to be in pit road for 3 minutes in total now. That the 28 machine has been down into pit road here as we are on lap 169 of 225. And look at this. Our race leaders coming down here into pit road and going to start off their pit cycles, their final pit cycles for the race here today. James Silvers, our race leader, coming down here into pit road, as well as the 84 of Zach Rogers. Now, again, this is going to pass off the lead to Tyler Evans in the 77, with Travis Sacoup going to be in the 45 in second place now. So, Tyler going to have an opportunity here to lead some laps, but he is also going to have to come down into pit road as well. He is not exempt from that situation. So, ultimately just taking advantage of being out on track in front and hopefully be able to have that come to fruition. Hopefully he'll be able to take a podium finish for tonight for the race, depending on where he places himself on the track once he works his way into pit road. Now Travis Sacoup in that 45 machine also going to be looking to come down into pit road as well. So we're going to expect to see both the 45 and that 77 to make their way to get their final splash of fuel and some tires if they need it. But lap 173 of 225 here at Nashville Fairgrounds. And I got to say, folks, this has been quite the race. Again, a long one for these drivers. 225 laps, a long, long time to put in an oval track, really of any size. A short track, even some of the larger super speedways, those can definitely be taxing once you start getting into the 100, 150 range at those tracks even. So lap 174 of 225 here. Just about 50 laps left to go here for our race today. And I gotta say, this is probably gotta be a sigh of relief for a lot of these drivers here. Now there's still 50 laps. That's a long time to go. Most of the time, if you're doing a race like this, you know, you kind of mentally as a driver, you start to think to yourself, we got to be halfway through the race. Oh, it's got to be this many laps left here soon. And you eventually just find yourself just keep going and going and going and going until finally your race crew, your crew chief, just comes over the radio and says, hey buddy, 5 laps to go. And you're just left there in complete disbelief. And you think that your crew chief is lying to you. But anyhow, we are still racing here with just under 50 laps left to go. Tyler Evans still out in front. And Travis Sacoup actually taking the time to come down into pit road as well. You can see getting lifted up there on the jacks, getting those tires squared away, getting that front left tire change now as we speak. And here we go, Tyler Evans now actually as well making his way down here into pit road, and that's going to start his pit cycle And that's going to pass the lead off to James Silvers once he makes his way around Tyler Evans in pit road. And James Silvers actually clicking off the fastest lap this time around with a 20.37. So absolutely ripping it around this track here today. And you can see getting into lap traffic there of the 007 of Jeff Edgar working his way down the inside, coming into turn 1 here. Tyler McRae now in that second place spot in the 99. You can see still staying on the low side there. Not going to really be struggling too much here with this lap traffic. Ultimately just worried about trying to stay out in this lead here, stay out in front. Having cars around you that aren't necessarily battling for the lead can be a little disconcerting sometimes. Can definitely be quite challenging in some cases, but that is, we're going to keep racing. We're going to keep going, see what happens here as Tyler Evans in the 77 in that 4th place spot, traveling behind the 45 of Travis DeCoupe. Down the back straight here, he's got a little bit of distance that he's going to have to close, and his pace isn't exactly in the best spot right now. He's not exactly matching his pace of Travis DeCoupe right now, but he is also definitely not faster. As we see a scrape from the 45, Travis DeCoupe getting very, well, a little bit into the wall there as he came down the back straight. And we've seen a lot of these drivers here do that here tonight. That's definitely not something that is just to target one specific driver. There's definitely been a lot of scraping here. I'm sure that the guys at Nashville are going to love the new additions to the paint jobs here at the track. So, James Silvers slowly starting to get Tyler McRae in the 99 machine in that 2nd place spot, slowly starting to work his way to the rear end of this 17. Now, with just about 40 or so laps to go, I gotta wonder to myself here is, how is this going to play for Tyler McRae? When you only have 40 laps left to go, and you have about a second of a gap between, well, I mean, it's possible. It's more than possible, actually. It's just a matter of, are we going to see James Silvers possibly make a mistake here? And that's ultimately the question that I think I have at this point in time. But as Tyler Evans here in that 77 machine, starting to, yeah, you can see, not quite able to close that gap between himself and the 45 of Travis DeCoupe here. Yeah, definitely looks like it's going to take quite a bit of work to catch back up to that. Ooh, look at that, though. That's not going to help the 45 at all. The scraping into the wall like that, it's going to slow you down. Even if it's only by a second, maybe less than a second, that's going to cost you time-wise, and that's going to give an advantage to your opponent that is absolutely driving the wheels off behind you. So, you know, again, when there's only 36 laps left in this race and you're in this spot where it's okay, it's time to go. We have to get moving, get going. Oh, yeah, look at this here, too. Lap traffic as well, also a factor here as we get closer to the final 25 laps here of this race. So we're going to ride on board here with Blake Wynn in the 19 machine for just a moment. And just let's just have a listen to the inside of this 19 machine here for a lap. So as we can see here, you know, it's not the easiest thing here to stay fast at a track like this. There's a lot of fine movements, fine adjustments that you have to make to the wheel as you're driving to prevent the car from sliding, to also keep yourself going forward, going straight, and keep to the line that you're trying to stick to. Now, you're going to see a lot of guys as they come out of turns 2 and 4, they're going to slide extremely high up to the top side of the track. Now, that was a little while ago, a few laps ago rather, before drivers came down into pit road, where that was a lot more prevalent. Tire wear was a big factor in that happening. Your tires are basically slick as butter at that point in time, and it's a lot harder to maintain grip. It takes a lot more effort, and it makes it a lot more challenging to drive. As we kind of look on top here from the blimp camera of Tyler McRae, you know, having this lap traffic involved here and kind of being within eyeshot of the 17 of James Silvers, Tyler is in the spot where there's not a whole lot that you can do, really. You know, you can put pressure on the guy in front of you as much as you can, but they're also lap traffic. You're not going to really gain anything by challenging them or pushing them aggressively. It's really going to cost you more than it's going to help you in any case. But 26 laps left to go here, folks. This is slowly wrapping up toward the end here, and with drivers clicking off lap times of about 20 seconds, we are going to see the end of this race here very, very shortly. And folks, I got to say, this has been quite the race to watch, quite the race to commentate, and I'm sure it was definitely one to remember for the drivers here today. Again, 225 laps, a definitely long race to be here today at Nashville, and not something to frown at. It is definitely a challenge. And it has been great to see these guys come here and tackle that here today. Tyler McRae in the 99 taking second place right now, still trying to find his way to the 17 of James Silvers, and it looks like Tyler was able to get his way around a lap traffic here as well. So it's going to be clean air in front of the 99 all the way to James Silvers. So all that Tyler McRae needs to do now is just step on the loud pedal and get going all the way till the very end. 23 laps left to go here, folks. Not a whole lot of time left before we see the checkered flag fly and the end of the race. As we look here with Tyler Evans in the 77, who's in fourth place currently still. Currently working his way behind the 420 of Brandon Varney down the back straight here. So Tyler also in the same position like many of our drivers here, getting lap traffic involved, but you can see that traffic also doing the courteous thing, taking the unoptimal line, going high, and letting the lead lap drivers on by to stay in their race. Now with 20 laps left to go, that is going to be absolutely crucial here. So James Silvers here, our race leader, starting to work his way now towards the back of that 420 of Brandon Varney. As they work their way into turn 1, so Brandon at risk of being put down. Yet another lap here, it would seem like. Yep, there he goes, extremely wide there, letting the 17 on by. And for some reason, according to timing, it says it's telling me that Brandon Varney is down a significant amount of laps, and I'm not exactly sure if that is correct or not, but we're going to keep going with it and assume that it is 16 laps left to go here at Nashville Fairgrounds. James Silver's our race leader, Tyler McRae in second, Travis Sakoop in that third place spot. And I would normally like to say that things are going to warm up here, but between first place driver James Silvers and second place Tyler McRae, there's about 3 seconds between those two. And between James Silvers and Travis Sakoop in third, there's about 14 seconds actually. So ultimately right now, again, it's going to be just staying calm, staying steady, not letting yourself get too excited or too nervous towards the end, and making small minor mistakes that could ultimately cost you the win or a podium position, whatever the case might be in your situation. So as we look here with Tyler McRae in that 99 machine, who's still trying to stay on the chase here of James Silvers, but not quite successful in doing so here at this point in time. And you can see Travis Sakoop here as well, still behind Blake Wynn in that 19 machine. But Travis here, as he works his way around Blake, that's going to put Blake a lap down here as well from the third place spot. And with 10 laps left to go here, folks, this is slowly wrapping up, or slowly shaping up to be quite the end of a race here, and quite the long one. Again, this has been a very long race for these guys, 225 laps. That is absolutely astonishing to see here. But every single one has done an incredible job. And it has been fantastic to be here to commentate this race as James Silvers comes across the line with 8 to go. Things aren't exactly quite over yet, though. Anything can still possibly happen here. Drivers can find themselves washed up into the top of the track and wipe their car out. And that could change things just ever so slightly here. We look here with John Friley, and it looks like Travis Sakoop possibly behind him. That is not Travis. Or, you know, I don't know anymore. But anyway, that was the 28 of Steve Rex that I was looking for. Love how that works sometimes. Anyway, so John Friley here in the 06 machine in 8th place here has actually kind of stayed in the same spot all race with 5 laps left to go here as well. John's going to be looking to take home the most consistent race here for today, starting in 8th and taking home 8th. After 225 laps, but still 4 laps left to go here before we see the end of the race. Look at that. Steve Rex gets way up into the wall. You can see a couple tires getting off the ground there as well. Some Good thing from Steve Rex not letting that car get away from him. As he tries one more time out of 4. Ooh, almost got into the wall there once again. He saw it coming too. It almost looked like he could sense it happening before it even happened. But up here, James Silvers comes across the line. That's going to give us 2 laps left to go here, folks. So he works his way out of turn 2 and down the back stretch. In just a moment, we are going to have the white flag come out, and it'll be our final lap. And there you see it here at Nashville Fairgrounds. The final lap of 225 laps here for the Pro-Am Street Stock Series with Team Goon Squad, sponsored by East Action Sports LLC. As the 17 takes it out of turn 4 and across the line for the win, Tyler McRae takes it across the line for second. And Travis Sacoup, as he works his way down the back straight, going to come out of turn 3 and 4, hopefully successfully. And he does. And across the line for that 3rd place spot. As we patiently await drivers to make their way across the line, we will have post-race results. And here we are. James Silvers with the lead. Tyler McRae. James Silvers with the win. Tyler McRae taking home 2nd. Travis Sacoup in 3rd. Tyler Evans in 4th. Blake Wynn in 5th. Zach Rogers in 6th. Jeff Edgar in 7th. John Friley in 8th. Matt Bear in 9th. Stephen Rex in 10th. Brandon Varney in 11th. Timothy Johnston in 12th. Jacob Feskinen in 13. That is going to conclude our race here for today. My name is Mason Heimball with Team Goon Squad, bringing you the action for today's race. I hope you all enjoyed. Thank you for watching, and I will see you all next time.